It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thanks so much for being here. Well, the big news yesterday, and I'm reading this, there's a number of headlines that I have here in stories, but from Fox News, Hamas has agreed to a peace deal pushed by President Trump to end the war in Gaza and return the hostages 2 years after the terrorist attack on Israel on October 7th, sparking not only the bloodiest day for Jews since the Holocaust, but a deadly war and a humanitarian crisis across the Gaza Strip. It was a little bit strange yesterday when the president was taking questions and Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, came up, whispered in his ear, gave him that note that they actually took a picture of. He held the note where you could see the picture of the note.
Right.
And said, well, it looks like we're pretty close here. I'm going to be needed somewhere else. So I'll just take a couple of more questions.
Right.
That was just unique to begin with. This is also something you don't see often, and this was families of the hostages in Gaza receiving the phone call from the president. Here's the audio of that.
Okay.
Thanks.
They want to say something. Is that right? All right, hold on. President Trump, you have the best crowd in the world. What do you guys have to say to President Trump?
Thank you.
Thank
you very much, everybody.
You did it!
You did it!
Thank you.
This is amazing. Mr. President, we believe in you. We know you've done so much for us over the past, since you became a president, and even before that. And we trust you fulfill the mission until every hostage, every 48 of the hostages are home. Thank you so much. Blessed be the peacemakers.
God bless you, Mr. President. God bless America.
Thank you very much. You just take care of yourselves. The hostages will come back. They're all coming back on Monday.
There you have it. You know, when you think of it, taking politics out completely, I mean, it's tough to do it, but just the emotion of what happened on October 7th, I was just hit with that. And then as they started, cheering, and you just take those two moments together. 2 years ago, we were talking about right at this time.
Yeah.
Because, this would have been our second show after the attack on Israel.
Yeah.
And when we were, this was when we were finding out just how bad it was. And so to see this happen and the families of the hostages 2 years later is really just pretty amazing to see. But what does this mean now? Right? What does this mean? Again, they should sign it tomorrow. There's a 20-point plan. All right, here's we'll let you know. It'll just take a couple of minutes to do it, but you'll want to know what the actual plan is. The 20-point plan that, and I'm guessing this is the first step of it, but this will be an agreement to the 20 points of the plan. Tomorrow is what they'll be. That's how I understand it. It's not just to release the hostages. It's that they've agreed to this plan.
Right.
And the plan would be, number one, Gaza will be de-radicalized, will be a de-radicalized terror-free zone that does not pose a threat to its neighbors. 2, Gaza will be redeveloped for the benefit of the people of Gaza who have suffered more than enough. 3, if both sides agree to this proposal, the war will immediately end. Israeli forces will withdraw to the agreed-upon line to prepare for a hostage release. During this time, all military operations, including aerial and artillery bombardment, will be suspended and battle lines will remain frozen until conditions are met for the complete stage withdrawal. 4, within 72 hours of Israel publicly accepting this agreement, all hostages alive and deceased will be returned. Once all the hostages are released, Israel will release 250 life sentence prisoners plus 1,700 Gazans who were detained after the October 7th attack including all women and children detained in that context. For every Israeli hostage who remains are released, Israel will release the remains of 15 deceased Gazans. Number 6, once all hostages are returned, Hamas members who commit to peaceful coexistence and to decommission their weapons will be given amnesty. Members of Hamas who wish to leave Gaza will be provided safe passage to receiving countries. Upon acceptance of this agreement, full aid will be immediately sent to the Gaza Strip. At a minimum, aid quantities will be consistent with what was included in the January 19, 2025 agreement regarding humanitarian aid, including rehabilitation of infrastructure, rehabilitation of hospitals and bakeries, and entry of necessary equipment to remove rubble and open roads. Number 8, entry of distribution and aid in the Gaza Strip will proceed without interference from the two parties through the United Nations and its agencies and the Red Crescent, in addition to other international institutions not associated in any manner with any party, either party, Opening the Rafah crossing in both directions will be subject to the same mechanism implemented in January 2025 agreement. 9, Gaza will be governed under the temporary transitional governance of a technocratic, apolitical Palestinian committee. I take that as they're not going to be doing legislation. This is about the I don't know if you take it this way. It seems as if the goal of number 9 would be the technical things that need to be done, the technocrats, what needs to be done to get it back.
In fact, under that point, it goes on to say responsible for delivering the day-to-day running of public services and municipalities for the people in Gaza. So basically running the infrastructure and making sure that the plan is being implemented as agreed upon.
The committee will be made up of qualified Palestinians and international experts with oversight and supervision by a new international transitional body, the Board of Peace, which will be headed and chaired by President Donald Trump, with other members and heads of states to be announced, including former Prime Minister Tony Blair. This body will set the framework and handle the funding for the redevelopment of Gaza until such time as the Palestinian Authority has completed its reform program, as outlined in various proposals, including President Trump's peace plan in 2020 and the Saudi-French proposal, and can securely and effectively take back control of Gaza. The body will call on the best international standards to create a modern and efficient governance that serves the people of Gaza, conducive to attracting investment. A Trump economic development plan to rebuild and energize Gaza will be created by convening a panel of experts who have helped birth some of the most thriving modern miracle cities in the Middle East. Many thoughtful investment proposals and exciting development ideas have been crafted by well-meaning international groups and will be considered to synthesize the security and governance frameworks to attract and facilitate these investments that will create jobs. 11, a special economic zone will be established with preferred tariff and access rates to be negotiated with participating countries. 12, nobody will be forced to leave Gaza, and those who wish to leave will be free to do so and free to return. We will encourage people to stay and offer them the opportunity to build a better Gaza. Hamas and other factions agree not to have any role in the governance of Gaza, directly, indirectly, or in any form. All military, terror, and offensive infrastructure, including tunnels and weapon production facilities, will be destroyed and not rebuilt. There will be a process of demilitarization of Gaza under the supervision of international monitors, which will include placing weapons permanently beyond use through an agreed process of decommissioning and supported by an internationally funded buyback and reintegration program, all verified by independent monitors. New Gaza will be fully committed to building a prosperous economy and peaceful coexistence. 14, a guarantee will be provided by regional partners to ensure that Hamas and the factions comply with their obligations and that the new Gaza poses no threat to its neighbors and people. 15, the United States will work with Arab and international partners to develop a temporary international stabilization force, the ISF, to immediately deploy to Gaza. The ISF will train and provide support to vetted Palestinian police forces in Gaza and will consult with Jordan and Egypt, who have extensive experience in this field. This force will be a long-term internal security solution. The ISF will work with Israel and Egypt to help secure border areas, along with newly trained Palestinian police forces. It is critical to prevent munitions from entering Gaza and to facilitate the rapid and secure flow of goods and rebuild and revitalize Gaza. 16, Israel will not occupy or annex Gaza. As the ISF establishes control and stability, Israeli Defense Forces will withdraw based on standards, milestones, and timeframes linked to the demilitarization that will be agreed upon by the IDF, the ISF, and the United States, with the objective of a secure, and other Middle Eastern countries that are involved in it, with the objective of a secure Gaza that no longer poses a threat to Israel, Egypt, or its citizens. Practically, the IDF will progressively hand over the Gaza territory it occupies to the ISF, according to an agreement that they will make with transitional authority until they were withdrawn completely from Gaza, save for a security perimeter presence that will remain until Gaza is properly secured from any resurgent terror threat. 17, in the event Hamas delays or rejects this proposal, the above and include rejects this proposal, in the event Hamas delays or rejects this proposal, the above, including the scaled-up aid operation, will proceed in terror-free areas handed over from the IDF to the ISF. 18, an interfaith dialogue process will be established based on the values of tolerance and peaceful coexistence to try and change mindsets and narratives of Palestinians and Israelis by emphasizing the benefits that can be derived by peace. 19, while Gaza redevelopment advances and when the PA reform program is faithfully carried out, the conditions may finally be in place for a credible pathway to Palestinian self-determination and statehood, which we will recognize as the aspiration of the Palestinian people. 20, the United States will establish a dialogue between Israel and the Palestinians to agree on a political horizon for peaceful and prosperous coexistence. There you go. I think it's important to read all the 20 in it because everybody's giving a general, a general umbrella thing,
right? And
you really don't understand, what are they agreeing to unless you go through the 20 points there.
Well, the AP came out. I think it was the AP early, and a couple of other sources. First of all, talked about sources saying that, and this is before the announcement was actually made, and the phone call with the families of the Israeli hostages by President Trump, that the hostages would be returned on Monday. So they had that part of it. But also part of it that was coming out was the exchange will be nearly 2,000 detainees, whatever you want to call them, that are held by Israel will be going back to Gaza. And then there was the back and forth online. And when you see the video of the families, what the audio you just played, when you see the look on their faces, they're all wearing shirts with their loved ones on them, as they have been for 2 years now. The first thing when I saw that video, I just immediately prayed out loud, God, let it be true. Let it happen. Let them come home. But beyond that, the devil is in the details, and these are some of the details of the outline of what is on the paper and the agreement. But then beyond that, it's the will of, and this just sounds kind of awkward, but the will of those other nations in that region to keep Gaza safe and peaceful, and then the determination by everybody involved to make sure that they don't let Hamas grow. Because as I'm reading through this and going through the details here, the one question that pops up in my mind is, but what about Iran? Iran's always going to be a problem. And they were, in fact, caught trying to sneak in weapons. It was just days ago. This is something Hamas is still a proxy of Iran. And while we certainly had a huge hit on Iran in taking out their nuclear facility, that's going to continue. So nothing is perfect, but this is a good start. And We'll see where it goes because it is in everybody's interest. I go back to, as you read through these 20 points, and they talk about development and everything else, you go back to the trip to the Middle East that President Trump did. And basically, it was well received. Look, you can have it great and peaceful and thriving or not.
Just by you saying that, you brought up so much about this deal. This is gonna take up a little time here to talk about the good part of it.
Right.
It's all good.
It's all good.
It's all good because as we've stated before, the name Hamas might be gone. Islamic radicalism is not gone in the world, and so how do you get rid of it? You can't just be the United States and Israel doing it, which it's not.
Right. It's not.
And
it isn't.
It's the president coming in and saying, how do I put this succinctly? It's Hamas, you're wiped out of Gaza because the United States is fully backing Israel on this. They will destroy and kill every single one of you with U.S. support.
Right.
If you don't agree to what we have here and the agreement that is also included numerous countries in the Middle East who are a part of this agreement and all coming together. That's the unique part of it. I think there's so many moving parts when you get into the Middle East and for the president, and I'll even give Witkoff some compliments here because he didn't have a lot for Iran at times.
Right.
But I'll give him Secretary of State Marco Rubio to be able to bring all these parties together to get to this point is pretty impressive.
Well,
if it goes beyond this point and it actually moves forward, that will be what was viewed just 6 months ago as absolutely 6 months ago, 6 years ago, 60 years ago was viewed as absolutely impossible to do.
Especially with the cooperation of other Arab nations.
Yep. 866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at J.J. Keller. Once a roadside inspection is completed, the officer will close it out. If violations were discovered, most officers, as a courtesy, will explain the violations to the driver. If there were any out-of-service violations, the officer will normally explain what must be done to get the out-of-service order lifted. Drivers need to be very attentive during this part of the inspection. The driver also needs to read and understand the complete inspection report. The driver has 24 hours to get the roadside inspection report to the motor carrier. If the driver will not be returning to a company facility within the next 24 hours, the driver needs to know to get it on the way to you via email, mail, or fax within 24 hours. This tip was brought to you by J.J. Keller & Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Hamas and Israel agree to the 20-point peace deal supposed to sign tomorrow. Here's ABC on this.
Okay.
ABC.
Yeah.
Heard it again and again from a number of people today, really giving credit to President Trump for getting this deal over the finish line. What are you hearing from your sources with regard to President Trump's role in getting both parties to sign off on at least the first phase of this peace plan?
Well, certainly this is an enormous moment for the world, but also for this administration, a big win for the president, who has been very personally involved in this, Lindsay.
Wow.
That's ABC. I thought Barry Weiss took over CBS.
I know. Do they realize Obama's not still in office? He's not the president. It's Trump.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio. from the Uniden America Studios.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. It's interesting because depending on what articles you read on this, the president said this is the first phase of the peace deal.
Right.
So if it's just the release of hostages, if there's nothing else, because we don't know what the exact deal is going to be until we see it tomorrow.
Right.
If it's just the release of hostages and nothing else, well, then it's not a peace deal yet. It's a release of hostages deal.
Right.
If it starts moving forward towards that particular goal. Look, what you're trying to get here is let's get down to the simplicity without going through the 20 points again. The hostages, being released, the transfer of prisoners, Gaza, whatever. That's got nothing to do. That happens. That doesn't mean there's any peace deal.
Right.
What you need to do, the peace deal is the demilitarization of Hamas and a civilian, non-military, technocrat government with the involvement of the other what exact parties, Egypt and who else will be involved in actually monitoring it under the direction of the board of directors, which will include Great Britain and the United States. So you've got a number of countries. It's not just that the Middle Eastern countries help broker a deal.
Right.
They're a part of it, and we may see precisely tomorrow who is involved in it, but we don't know how expansive this deal is besides just releasing the hostages.
Yeah.
We showed you the 20 points, but the first couple of points of releasing the hostages means nothing if you don't get down to the fact of demilitarizing Gaza, getting Hamas out of there, and installing a government where Hamas has zero influence whatsoever.
So there are so many moving parts in this whole thing that always makes everything tricky. By the way, there's, of course, in a situation like this, there's going to be a lot of moving parts. However, on the surface, on paper, it looks like a very comprehensive move, and which means that it needs to have those moving parts because each one of those plays a part in all of this working. The fact that the other Arab nations are going to be involved, and you hit on that before the bottom of the hour, but I think that deserves a lot of attention here because in the past, it's been basically the U.S. and Israel versus, and everybody else either turned, their head and looked the other way, or were against the U.S. being involved in anything supporting Israel. Obviously, the tone by plenty in that region in the Middle East is still going to remain what it has been for many years. However, what President Trump has done here, if we see real proof of follow-through in the coming months and years, is set up an incentive for those Arab nations, and I think it started with that trip to the Middle East earlier this year. I don't know what happened behind closed doors, but the conversations clearly were effective, and if it works to that end, and you have other Arab nations going, look, we don't want any part of the terror game. I mean, Iran's going to be a part of it as long as Iran is Iran, until something massive changes there. And maybe Trump gets that done next year. I don't know. But until that changes, fundamentally in Iran, that's going to be the case. But if Iran is the pariah, and what did we see after the bombing of Iran? We saw global leaders come out and basically in the hours and days after the bombing of Iran, and when I say that, it still just sounds almost like, man, did that actually happen? You had global leaders come out and go, you know what, this is on Iran. And it wasn't, and it was President Trump that led it. It was that President Trump, the one that the world loves to hate, came out and said, you know what, this is on Iran. Which tells me You put those two together. The trip to the Middle East, all the meetings that they had there, what you had with the bombing of Iran, the history of Donald Trump and his precision attacks, especially on Soleimani, and all of that, you know that he's really not, about sending, thousands and thousands of troops, a precision attack. He's going to take care of the problem and be done. And also, here's a guy who, and we talked about this in his first term, he's a builder. When the part of this 20-point plan that talks about, look, rebuilding it, I don't know that Gaza is ever going to be a destination. I don't know that I ever see resorts. But the idea would be that the people, the peaceful people that live in Gaza, could have a marketplace that they could go to, could have jobs, could live there, and not live under the rule of terrorists. And that's a big deal, because you look at all the other nations, if they see that, if they want that, if that's what they want, and they finally want to be done with all of this, and they believe this is a big part of it, then this could well work. Again, there's a lot of moving parts in this entire equation.
Right. So when you look at the actual 20 points, because I'm still not sure exactly what the first phase means. Is the first phase just the release of hostages? Because if you do that, well, then what?
Right.
They're all released on both sides in 5 days.
Right.
And nothing else is done.
Right.
So what happens at that point? Right. Is the first phase the release of hostages and the beginning of setting up, because Israel's not leaving. This hostilities will stop at that point when the hostages are released, or when the agreement is released. I don't know when the official ceasefire would begin at that point. But if you look at it from the side of the United States, they would look at it and say, well, any of the hesitation that we had to tell Israel, not to go in, that's gone. The hostages are all released. There is no reason for Israel to back off. I mean, that's the strength of this negotiating point that the president and Netanyahu has right now to force this deal. What was keeping a lot of this from going forward was the imagery and the reality, because there's both. The imagery is the reality of those hostages. Now the hostages are gone. There's nothing holding back Israel. There was nothing holding back Israel yesterday, because the president made it clear, if you don't agree with this, you're gone. And so what this first phase, if the first phase is, okay, we release the hostages, now we need to go to 2 and 3, and you pass that by next week, 2 and 3, which is, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is about rebuilding the infrastructure of it, which other countries also are a part of. But if the hostages are released on both sides, because you tell me you read one article that was saying, well, if that's all that happens, it's unfair because they got more people released than the Israelis.
Yeah, I think it was David Harsteni who made a comment saying, this is, it's, that trade, because, and then the question about, okay, who is in that group of nearly 2,000 Palestinians? And
right. But I don't think that matters as long as they are forced to, because you're going to be forced. Hamas is being forced to agree to this.
Right.
And when you look at why they're being forced to agree to this, you look at the fact everyone knows, including Hamas, there isn't any Islamic radical in the Middle East who doesn't know that the president that the president has agreed and the United States is fully backing Israel to go after any of its enemies and kill whomever,
right,
including the leaders of the country. There is no doubt about that. Understand that enabling any leader or any Islamic radical does not work.
Right.
We know that does not work. That's not what's happening here.
Right.
And so if it's just the part one of releasing the hostages, you got to get to part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5, very, very quickly. And it seems that the president, because this was the one thing you're wondering, okay, they got him to agree to the first phase of it. What exactly is the first phase? We'll find out. But we release the hostages. Is the United States going to tell Israel just to back off, and you're slowly going to see Hamas come in? It seems like that's not what the president wants, that it's beyond the hostages, that the president understands that if the hostages, on both sides are released, that's not even part of the peace process. That's just the beginning to start the peace process, which is then you need to build, as they say in the 20-point plan from the president, an apolitical
and that's
technocrat government in Gaza with the supervision of Egypt. I know Egypt's part of it. I don't know what other, whether Qatar or Saudi Arabia, who else would be involved in that. I know Iran won't be in the overseeing of that. With the they're like the country, and then the United States and Great Britain and the United States with Donald Trump are part of the Board of Peace, which would be like the European Union.
Yeah, because when you read through the 20-point plan, it appears to build out contingencies that are in place beyond the hostages being released.
Yes.
So those contingencies, again, have to be met. It was David Harsanyi who posted, because he was reposting, this goes back a few hours, reposting the AFP news agency story that Hamas says alive hostages to be exchanged for nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners within 72 hours of deal implementation. And David Harsanyi reposted that with the comment, a good example of the moral asymmetry of this conflict. 2,000 savages for 20 kidnapped civilians. That, again, is the comment by David Harsanyi on X a little over 4 hours ago. But you point out something. The entire deal is the focus. If you want to, you can have, there's going to be the debate on the asymmetry, as David Harsanyi points it out. But what matters ultimately is the agreement being followed every day and every contingency being met. That's
because those those numbers don't matter if the president is still letting Israel know.
Yeah.
And Great Britain's in agreement with it, and other European nations and other Middle Eastern nations who signed on to this deal and agree to the 20-point plan.
Right.
You demilitarize, or Israel can do what they want. They'll wipe you out.
Right.
As long as that remains there, then the asymmetry, or whatever he wishes to call it, is really meaningless.
Right, exactly. As long as there is enforcement. Right. No, it's a debate.
I understand morally when you think about it, you say, well, they're just not, but that's not your ultimate goal.
Right. Exactly.
Your ultimate goal is not to get asymmetry there. It's to get rid of Hamas in Gaza. That's the reality of it.
Right.
And whether that's possible or not, we will see.
Because the bigger play, again, and I think this is the key, involves other Arab nations that are not just cooperating, they're clearly a part of this plan being successful, which means they take ownership. And Tony Blair, while not the prime minister right now, is essentially representing the UK.
Right.
And while it's not official, again, it is still, again, this global kind of effort, and everybody kind of has a piece in it, and I think that's a good part of this plan. We'll see how it goes.
866-90 Red Eye.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. I knew who Katie Porter was the other day, and I know they called her. I don't know if they still do right now. the leading candidate for governor of California.
Wow.
But, I mean, the videos that have come out of her, and you made a great point. You just said, is she ever happy?
I don't
Is
think
there any
she's
joy in
I
her
don't
life?
think she's ever experienced joy. By the way, she's polling heavily with women named Karen. Like almost 100%.
That person that got in that video yesterday, that video she was doing, what, a year ago or something?
Yeah. You know what?
That got in the way and get the F out of there!
Oh, my, who talks that way to an employee? My gosh.
And when you're actually doing a video with somebody else.
Yeah, exactly.
Doing an interview video. It was like with the
Right,
Biden people.
And I was telling you, she's still talking to other people.
Yeah.
It wasn't like she was recording it and could edit that part out.
I know.
Wow.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. You can't say that about us, that we never smile, but we're never happy.
But joy. I have lots of joy, but I just look at so many people on the left, Hillary Clinton, that it's clear they've never had joy. Now, I will say this. Hillary did pretend to have joy when the balloons dropped that one time. Remember that whole thing? Oh, my gosh, that was so horrible.
Wow, balloons.
What? With the fake surprise look on her face?
What are the... Wow, is there like air? Well, there must be air in those balloons, not hydrogen. Because they're coming down at us.
Look, if you want to actually genuinely look surprised, just pretend like you just walked in on Bill.
I said hydrogen. Yeah. Helium.
Oh, helium, yes.
I've got hydrogen.
Right.
Wow, I would have had my lighter out for that one.
Well, that would have been bad.
I said hydrogen. I meant helium.
Yeah.
Hydrogen.
Yeah.
That would have been
we don't want hydrogen.
Right.
balloons.
No hydrogen.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the dirigible disaster.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yes. I'm just laughing at the Katie Porter thing. And she reminds me, her face reminds me of someone in the movies, and I can't figure out who it is. But it was not a happy character.
It's funny that you say that because she does look like somebody, and I haven't been able to pinpoint it either. And I don't know who it is. We'll see we'll see how it goes. Of course, she hasn't had a good week. We'll just say that. It has not been a good week. With the interview, the question basically by the interviewer, what do you say to the 40% of people in California that voted for Trump? And basically her response was, what, you think I need them to win? Basically, in other words, I don't need to address them. I don't need to.
But I understood the question if it was, if you were running, if you're running directly against another Democrat. But if she's running against a Republican, she's not going to get Republican vote. I didn't understand the question from the reporter either.
Well, it's I think she was looking for them. We don't want the Trump supporters here. No MAGA allowed, or I don't know what answer she was trying to conjure up out of Porter. But it's, the only answer while you're campaigning should be, well, if they live in California, I don't care who you voted for before, I'm working to earn your vote. And as governor, I'm going to keep working to earn your respect, and I'll be working for you even if you don't vote for me. See, that wasn't hard. Now, I can say that because no one will ever vote for me in California. But then the whole thing, I think, and I saw it, was it on Politico? I think it was on Politico where I first saw it. The video of her just going after an employee. Wow, talk about toxic work environment. Oof.
And I've been seeing a lot on YouTube, these people who used to work with Ellen DeGeneres saying she wasn't nice to work for at all.
Right.
It was like,
yeah.
I don't know. All these, and she moved out of the country.
Exactly.
I'm leaving the United States.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just the Katie Porter thing is just hilarious because she does. I love watching her because and people are like, you do? Yeah, because it's. I get a great enjoyment out of watching people that get no joy out of life.
No, it's
I don't know why.
Well, but
I enjoy. It's like
and
you got a great country to live in here,
right?
And they're just like angry all the time about everything and everybody and in their life. They're I am, and probably I would say it's the same with you. I am more, not that the animation that I have and the passion that I have for the issues isn't genuine, and not that I wouldn't express it in my regular life if I didn't do it on the air.
Right.
Being on the air and being on so long, it is legitimately a part of you, but that's passion.
Yeah.
I don't remember, and I get this just so people know, because they're like, oh man, you get angry at times. From all the people that know me, especially people that have come into my life in the last 20 years. I'm not counting the people that golfed with me before, where I had the rage of a serial killer directed at myself because I couldn't hit a ball with a stick. I did have unreasonable temper tantrums from being too competitive.
Yeah.
All right. But but never like in the workplace. It was me personally in an individual sport.
See, you should have just golfed just with me. Because I've never golfed before. Compared to me.
Yeah, but you don't. That doesn't matter who you're playing. No, it's all
about you.
Yeah,
that's true.
You know what
true.
you should be.
I know enough about golf to know that. That's true. Yeah,
but I was wrong for doing it because it was. I look at that that portion of my life. It's like, do you regret anything in your life? Yeah, the rage of a serial killer that I always felt when I was golfing. And I wasn't preparing. I took lessons a couple of years ago, and now I haven't golfed a lot because I've had so many injuries. But now this is golf season for me now between now and June. It's not really during the summer. I'm too old to golf in 100 degree heat in the middle of the day. I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But I'll have a good golf year this year because I know how to hit the golf ball, and I'm in great shape. But I learned how to hit the golf ball.
Right.
But the worst thing you can do is not be prepared for something and be angry that you're not performing well.
Well, okay.
That was a sign of immaturity of my part, 20 years ago, 25 years ago in golfing. It was, because I know it's a minor part of my life and I was responsible in every other portion of it, but it did show a level of immaturity at that point. But I get this from people all the time. They go, "You're never angry." Ever.
Right.
It's like,
right.
Yeah, you're right. I'm not.
Well, but you just hit something. Katie Porter wasn't prepared for that question.
Okay. Yeah.
What about the 40% of people who voted for Trump in this state? And it's the only political answer you can give. I don't care who you voted for in the past. I'm working for your support. I think I have the best ideas. And if given a chance, I'll be the best governor this state has ever had for everybody. Even if you end up not voting for me in the end, I'm still going to serve you as governor.
Right, but she would be lying. If that question was asked to you, you wouldn't be lying.
No, I wouldn't.
Because,
you're right, that's the difference.
And neither would I, because I'd say, I believe there are many Democrats that agree exactly what I agree on. The polls show, and you could use the 80-20.
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes people won't vote for you because they don't like your personality. They may agree with you on the issues, but they just hate you or they buy into the rhetoric for some reason. But on the issues, most people, and I think there's a significant number of Democrats who agree with what you and I think.
Yep.
On the issues. They do.
Mm-hmm.
I get this when I get this from people, well, you're a nice guy and everything else, and I've known you, but I don't agree with you on much. Give me one thing. And I'm amazed when I bring that up to people who I've known, and they'll bring up something, and I'll say, well, I don't think that. Here's what I think. Oh, I didn't know that. Well, I agree with you. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I had that discussion when I was in Buffalo a couple of weeks ago with some people. They went, oh, well, then I do agree with you. I do agree with you. So they were judging me on an opinion that I don't have.
Right. Well, and
it was just,
and I do believe that my policies, again, expanding the economy, making fill in whatever state I'd be running for, great again, that kind of thing, doing the right would benefit everybody, and so I would be working for everyone's benefit. But and also, it's how Katie Porter thinks. She doesn't care about, the Trump supporters and everything else. Instead of trying to, again, convince people, listen, we're going to do the right things. We're going to, she doesn't care. Because the left right now is all about building enemies. Whether it's rank and file voters and people of your own state or jurisdiction, or anywhere else in the country, or anybody else in office in the opposition party. It's about building enemies. And that's clearly what they want to do. It's how they think. Because had she come out and said what I said, that political answer, what risk does she run? Well, the risk she runs is the far left going, how dare you welcome Trump voters?
No, that's a great point. That's a really good point.
Thanks.
Because
write that down, Ron.
That would but it's a great point because Republicans can say, Republicans can go out, Trump could go out there tomorrow and say there are a lot of Democrats that agree with me and a lot of independents on this issue and this issue and this issue and this issue, and his base would not be angry at him at all.
Right. Exactly.
They'd say, well, yeah.
Right.
He makes sense and I make sense, and we don't understand why you don't agree with us.
Right.
If you say that on the left.
Oh, no, it's over. It's the far left. And do we need any further evidence that Katie Porter's far left? I mean, look at her behavior. Who behaves that way?
Because we don't need, I'm going to get feedback for this, but I have to say this because why not? We love doing humor. I don't need to know where she stands on the issues. She just looks liberal. I don't even know what that means.
No, it's funny you say. No,
and I think it's because of the anger that she has.
No, it's funny that you say that because I was actually watching not the one part of the video where she's cursing out her employee, but another one where she's talking about an issue, and I didn't have the sound on. And I said, her mannerisms are on the left. Her mannerisms, I mean, just watching her, I thought, no, she looks liberal. And part of that is there's not 1 ounce of joy. I don't see any joy. And because the angry left, they're nothing if not angry.
And I want to make this clear. I really don't judge people by their looks to determine whether they're liberal.
I don't either.
I mean, I know where she's a Democrat, and we've heard her speak before, so I know where she is on the issues. I remember when she was on Bill Maher and with Piers Morgan trying to explain, well, I think the body should, and Riley Gaines is just trying to get clicks. He goes, no, he's not.
Right.
And then they get into the, Title IX, and then Bill Maher makes the point that we always made about Title IX. That was to protect biological women.
Exactly.
It's the opposite. Well, I think that the governing body, the state should do the same thing because it's based on Title IX, the law. Well, I think she just couldn't hold her own on that at all.
Well, and there is, again, there is a tone, and how somebody looks is one thing, but the tone is how you behave and whether you appreciate, and again, this goes back to, remember, Trump and American exceptionalism and all of that, and how dare you, but because she knows, and all of those on the left know, you can't step out of line. You do, and you're done. Politically, it's over. So don't hint at all. Don't hint at all about welcoming Trump voters or anything like that, or welcoming all voters, because by default, that means Trump voters too. You can't even do that.
Because you're willing to take then the votes of Nazis.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
Of fascists and Nazis.
Right. Exactly.
Well, explain yourself. I don't have to. They're fascists and Nazis.
Right. Exactly.
How? Because they are.
Well, that's it. Because then they'll say, well, if you don't know what fascists are and what Nazis are, then that's on you.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay,
just insane.
I've got to get. You just reminded me.
What?
I've got to get to the. The two senators fighting yesterday.
Oh yeah.
So,
I got
the
House members. Yeah.
It was the House members.
Yeah,
House members.
Yeah. The Senate or the
Lawler and Jeffries, right?
Right. Yeah. Oh no, that's some good audio. No, that's some good audio.
Now nothing's accomplished by it.
Right.
There's nothing. You don't accomplish anything.
Right.
It's just the good back and forth.
Well, I know in the hallway too, Speaker Johnson had it out with a couple of senators, both of the senators from Arizona, actually, but I don't know that there's audio from. I saw some video, but it didn't look like you could hear what they were saying. But it looked pretty passionate, and that happened before the whole thing with Jeffries and the other lawmaker from New York. So
the shutdown did heat up a little bit yesterday.
It did,
and it actually was a big news story until the first phase of the peace deal,
right?
Whatever the first phase is,
right? Yeah.
And but I really don't think it matters.
No.
As long as Trump keeps his foot on the Israel accelerator.
I don't know of a better plan.
Right, which is, if you don't agree to this, then Israel can do whatever they want to Hamas.
Right.
That hasn't ended, and that doesn't stop just because you get the first phase, which may not include all the 20 points in there.
Exactly.
How many points it will include, we'll find out tomorrow.
And again, the involvement of other nations is the key here. This is a big deal. This is really unprecedented in the way it's playing out, and hopefully it will work long term.
We'll get to that and the shutdown coming up, 866-90 Red Eye.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by House Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
A seasonal reflection of U.S. topsoil moisture condition numbers, as USDA meteorologist Brad Rippey shares from the latest topsoil moisture report. This for the period ending September 21st.
Topsoil moisture surplus number nationally, 6%. It's actually up 1% from the previous week on the strength of some of the rainfall across the middle part of the country. On the flip side, though, 45% of the country experiencing very short to short topsoil moisture on September 21st. That is also up 1 percentage point from last week.
Only a handful of plains and Midwestern states report topsoil moisture surplus at 10% or greater.
That list includes Colorado, Kansas, Nebraska, the Dakotas, and Minnesota, and also Florida in the southeast.
Areas with significant very short-to-short topsoil moisture in a majority of states include the Pacific Northwest, the far northern and southern ends of the plains, and short-term drought areas from the mid to lower Mississippi Valley eastward. I'm Ron Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Sorry, I almost forgot your name there for a moment. Ron told me that you came in and told us we got a few callers who were saying that Katie Porter looks like the late actress Anne Ramsey, who played the the old lady played Mama Fratelli in the Goonies.
Oh.
And so I had to look it up because I've seen the previews of Goonies, but like, okay, let me look it up. Let me go to Google. So here I am doing a economic and political talk show, putting in Google, old lady from Goonies. And she comes up and I'm like, oh, I know her. She died young. She's like 58, 59 years old. And so I'm looking at the pictures. I'm like, well, maybe a little bit, but to me, she looks more like John Goodman or Babe Ruth. And then I burst out laughing, sitting here, burst out laughing, thinking, oh, my God, John Goodman played Babe Ruth.
Oh, yeah, true. Now, the difference is Anne Ramsey only played characters that seemingly had no joy. Anne Ramsey actually looked like a joyful person in real life.
Yeah. Yes.
On our website, RedEyeRadioShow.com. Show info with stations, podcasts, and more. Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome in. Good morning. Just a couple of things. Here.
Oh, only a couple
I'm sorry.
of things. We're going to do two things, and that's it. That's all we're doing.
One of 10,000 things here. I just want to read what Trump said yesterday. He said on the beginning, phase one of the peace deal, the whole world came together, to be honest. So many countries that you wouldn't have even thought of, they came together. The world has come together around the deal, he said Wednesday in an exclusive interview with Sean Hannity on Fox. He added that the remaining hostages will be released as early as Monday. We've already gone through that portion of it. He said so many countries that you wouldn't have thought of have wired their best wishes and their commitment to do whatever is necessary. The countries surrounding have all signed. I mean, they're all signed up. And it's been really an amazing period of time, and so great for Israel, so great for Muslims, for Arab countries, and so great for this country, for the United States of America, that we could be involved in, making a deal like this happen, because it was, many years. They talked about peace in the Middle East. This is more than Gaza. This is peace in the Middle East. And it's an incredible thing. Now, there's going to be criticism of this, and you've already seen it. And we pointed out some of the criticism will be, look, Hamas hasn't done anything yet. Until they do anything, you can't make you can't make any point that this is a successful peace plan. And Islamic radicalism isn't going to go away in our lifetime, the next lifetime, the lifetime after that. Well, Trump didn't say he's curing the Islamic radicalism problem in the world.
Right.
You take your victories where you can.
Mm-hmm.
You unite people together, as he has done. But I think the most important part here to recognize is one of the things, and these were, I guess, the what I would view over the last 20 years as the new populist isolationist Republicans who supported Trump.
Yeah.
And were somehow under the mistaken idea, even recently, that Trump was betraying his isolationist beliefs, which always took you and I totally by surprise.
Right.
I mean, where the hell are they coming up with this from?
Right.
Trump has simply said he doesn't want boots on the ground.
Right.
And any pretext that he is an isolationist was gone for us after Soleimani.
Mm-hmm.
we had wondered, would he respond? That was in his first term. And when they knew, remember they had the planes, they were on the way.
Yep.
To hit Iran, and he pulled him back.
Yeah.
And people found out, and the left was on his case. Then he took out Soleimani, and it was like, oh, okay, I get what he's doing.
Right.
He's saying
Right.
we're just not going to lose people. We're not
Right.
just going to. We're not going to go. You hit us, we hit you.
Right.
You hit us, you're gone. All right, Iran, nuke free. You're not going to have nukes. Well, let's have a negotiation. No, you either do it now, or Israel can take you out, and we'll support them in doing it.
Yep.
And you and I were amazed, and still are amazed, that happened, and within 5 to 7 days, there wasn't even any type of criticism on the liberal networks in the United States. They just dropped it and moved on to something else.
Yep.
I know that you may, if you're younger and listening, you may hear me and just say, okay, just a little bit too much drama. Come on. You don't understand the Middle East. To have that happen, there weren't protests anywhere.
No.
There were no major protests over the hitting of Iran at all. Don't think that isn't part of the reason that you have this agreement and so many Middle Eastern countries coming in, because a lot of Middle Eastern countries, we talked about it, and we talked about Saudi Arabia, 15 years ago?
Yeah.
When Saudi Arabia came out and said, we can't continue to do what we're doing. The royal family came out and said, we can't continue to do this.
Right.
We cannot continue to have a society that is so restrictive, because, and this is when the United States started producing oil.
Right.
We can't live on one product alone. We have to trade. We have to be involved in international commerce. And if we do that, that means we slowly have to open up.
Yep.
Now, have they opened up? Were there anything close to a westernized country? No, but hey, a lot of these westernized countries that we view as, these are westernized people, they're pretty smart people, are clamping down on freedom of speech.
Right. Put you in jail for something you post on social media.
Right. So, and so it's always a slow process, but to do what the president has done to this particular point, and my point is, do not underestimate that the reason that this is happening is because of the projection of American military might and the projection of American military might, even if we're using the surrogate of Israel to do the majority of the damage.
Yeah.
You back Israel on this, and it's the fact that it's you right now, the only thing bringing Hamas to the table. It's got nothing to do that they want peace. It's got nothing to do that they're not going to reform somewhere else. It's the fact that they know they can't win here and they will be eliminated. So if they've got to lose this battle in order to win the war down the road, they'll lose this battle, but they lost this battle. And losing this battle is huge, because if they lose that area of the Middle East, and they're losing more areas of the Middle East, and more Middle Eastern countries are slowly coming around, that's the advancement that you want. Nothing changes overnight, but it's where is the direction that the narrative or the philosophy of people are slowly moving. That's what you hope to do.
Well, exactly, because you just touched on it. There is something also that's going on generationally. And you look at that as it is happening in other parts of the world, and you talk about, in fact, you have a young person from Iran that you talk about, and, she said, look, we have the internet. We know what's going on. We want things to be different. And they want a cultural shift, but also they want, again, a marketplace. They want their family, their parents and grandparents, to not live under the thumb of regimes and terrorists. They want a peaceful life. And that, again, takes a long time to implement, but you see it moving steadily in that direction, that kind of sentiment. And it is, in part, I think, to a large extent, generational. You couple that with this deal, because, again, getting all these other nations involved was critical. Because if nobody else was on board, and it's just the U.S. and Israel, well, first of all, we wouldn't be talking about this 20-point plan. It would have been, again, the continuation of, and it might be the case, it depends on how Hamas responds and all of that, but it would certainly be the case that the war would be going back and forth and it would be never ending. What this does is, I said it the other day, on certain things politically, you touch it and break it, you pay for it. But also, you come in with some ownership. Think about what it took to get these nations not to just cooperate and give their thumbs up and approval for it, but to be a part of it. That is what's required, because, look, this is going to help you. You help us do this and monitor this situation. All the players benefit from this, which means long-term, your society grows, your economy grows, and you're not at war constantly with the biggest on the planet being the U.S.
And I said these things move slowly. Not always, though. The fall of the Soviet Union still, to me, blows me away how quick that happened.
That's a great point.
When it happened, it fried our minds.
Yeah.
And if you're younger, you weren't there for it.
Right.
And when it happened, I mean, growing up, I remember, in the early 60s, laying in bed as a kid saying, wow, we could all be gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, there was the fear in that Cold War, and then, remember going up to, I mean, you think of Miracle on Ice. So much of that was because of really a quarter of a century of going through, from the almost, over a quarter of a century going through the Cold War.
Mm-hmm.
And it still was almost, still a decade away from ending at that point. But some part of the passion of that Miracle on Ice game was because of the Cold War and the probably the stress, the frustration, the anger, everything that had gone on, and boom. And you look at it, no, and Russia, is Russia still a mess or a complete mess? Look at all this, so many of the satellite countries, from the former Middle Eastern blocs.
Yeah.
Who have embraced freedom.
Right.
And that's why it's so sad when we see, and frustrating when we see something like New York City and a communist like Mandami in the United States actually drawing people to it. It shows the ignorance, the lack of education. When I say ignorance, that doesn't mean stupidity. That's different from the moron, idiot, imbecile IQ curve that Eric and I learned of a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
Ignorance means a lack of knowledge. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. And that's so much of why people embrace communism, is because they don't know how the world runs. They don't understand how economics runs. They don't understand it. All they understand is somebody, it's very easy to say, I'll take care of you.
Right.
And we can do it because be jealous or envious of that person over there.
You don't need more than one deodorant choice, Bernie.
Yes.
How many homes do you need, Bernie?
What an man.
How many homes do you need, Bernie?
Now, he is on that IQ scale there.
Exactly. Well, and
because that's not ignorance.
No,
he's
that
not
isn't ignorance.
He's not speaking from ignorance.
Nope.
He knows.
Nope.
He knows.
Exactly. And
he's speaking from, this is how I believe I can get power.
Well, and then he's got the nerve to go on the No Oligarchs tour on his private jet. Seriously. You're a communist.
and
shut up.
And someone who prefers the oligarch system.
No, that's exactly what it was building toward. You know that's what he was buying into. It's like, look at the powerful and everything
right. Even
else.
though the oligarchs did come post-Soviet Union.
Yeah, they did. They did because of capitalism. But
right.
It worked for him too. Again, he's now a millionaire and used to be not a millionaire.
Millionaires are okay, though, because of inflation.
Right. Just not a billionaire.
Right.
Can't be a billionaire.
866-90-RED-EYE.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Well, Republicans in the White House out yesterday promoting that new Harvard-Harris poll that came out earlier this week. Found 65% of voters think Democrats should end the shutdown by accepting the continuing resolution at current spending levels. There you go.
Yeah.
70% want the shutdown to end. And where is it? 70% oppose the government shutdown. 65% say Democrats should accept Republicans' clean, nonpartisan continuing resolution. 62%, this is a number that you had brought up yesterday, say Republicans will win the government shutdown. 55% say Democrats are just trying to please their base.
Yeah.
Okay, and that comes from Harvard-Harris.
Right.
And let it be known, that is not, Harvard-Harris is not a Republican pollster.
Right.
Now, those dates were actually the first and the second. Said field dates were the first and the second when they did it.
Interesting. Well, I'll tell you this. If the impact on airports and everything like that, you start impacting people's daily lives. You know, it's not a big travel season right now, but the longer that goes on, it's going to be a problem.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.